Islam. If there's anything lovely, if there's anything desirable, if there's anything within the reach of man that is worthy of praise, is it not knowledge? And yet, who is it that obtaineth it? The statesman proclaimeth that he have it. The ruler of the people claimeth the praise of it, but findeth the subject that he possesses it. Evil is not reckoned that the man evil vice can be necessary to be tolerated. Yet how many evils are committed by the convenience of the laws? How many crimes committed by the decree of the council? But be wise, O rulers, and learn, O thou that art to command the nations. One crime authorized by thee is worse than the escape of 10 from punishment. At this time, I like to recite the Moorish American prayer. And the reason why I like to recite the Moorish American prayer, because Prophet Noble Drew Ali is the first and the last prophet in these days and time. When Noble Drew Ali came, there was nobody here teaching anything about a religion from an Islamic perspective. So Noble Drew Ali is the first to bring us here in North America a prayer coming from the great God Allah with his name on it. So we're going to recite the Moorish American prayer. We call it the M-A-P. That's our map back to God. The Moorish American prayer. Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation, by night and by day, through his holy prophet, Drew Ali. Amen. First off, I'd like to rise, giving praise to Allah. I like to give praise to Allah because it is Allah who is the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. I like to give honor to Allah's holy and illustrious prophet, Noble Drew Ali, the founder of our address, the Moorish Science Temple of America. I'd like to give honor to all of those and honor to all of you that have and will aid and assist us in this, our divine and gigantic mission, the uplifting of fallen humanity. And last but not least, I'd like to give a special honor to effort, because so many of us don't even try. At this time, I'd like to read from the Moorish Holy Quran, the book of the seven seals. And none was able to open and read from its sacred pages the messages of purity and love. And is read on this wise. Elihu's lesson, the unity of life. Again, Elihu met his pupils in the sacred grove and said, no man live unto himself, for every living thing is bound by cord to every other living thing. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will love and not demand love in return. They will not do to other men what they will not have other men do unto them. There are two selves, the higher and lower self. The higher self is human spirit, clothed with soul made in the form of Allah. The lower self, the carnal self, the body of desires is a reflection of higher self, distorted by the murky ethers of the flesh. The lower self, the carnal self, the body of desires is a reflection of higher self, again distorted by the murky ethers of the flesh. The lower self is an illusion and will pass away. The higher self is Allah in man and will not pass away. The higher self is the embodiment of truth. The lower self is truth reversed, and so is falsehood manifest. The higher self is justice, mercy, love, and right. The lower self is what the higher self is not. The lower self breeds hatred, slander, lewdness, murder, theft, and everything that harms. The higher self is the mother of virtues and the harmonies of life. The lower self is rich in promises, but poor in blessedness and peace. It offers pleasure, joy, and satisfying gain, and gives unrest, misery, and death. It gives men apples that are lonely to the eye, pleasant to the smell, and their cores are full of bitterness and gall. If you would ask me what to study, I would say yourselves. And when you have well studied them and would ask me what to study next, I will reply, yourselves. He who knows well his lower self knows the illusions of the world, knows of the things that pass away. And he who knows his higher self knows Allah, knows well the things that cannot pass away. Thrice blessed is the man who has made purity and love his very own. He has been ransomed from the pearls of the lower self and is himself his higher self. Men seek salvation from an evil that deem a living monster of the nether world, and they have gods that are but demons in disguise, all powerful, yet full of jealousy and hate and lust, whose favors must be bought with costly sacrifice of fruit and of the lives of birds and animals of humankind. That's what we just had a reading from the Moorish Holy Quran that was divinely prepared by our Holy Prophet Noble Drew Ali for our earthly and our divine salvation. Praise Allah and honor the Prophet. A couple of days ago I had a birthday, and I done turned another age, and Allah has blessed me to still be on this manifest, because man, I supposed to be gone a long time ago, but I'm still here. But what I want to do today is talk about a subject matter. I want to talk about a subject matter because it's important that I do, and a lot of us don't understand that. But where I want to start at is, we want to talk about when I grew up. I grew up in Washington, D.C. Now, a lot of people from different geographical locations, when they grew up different. Their teachings was different. The things that they learned was different. I had two friends, two of my first friends. One of them name was Sammy, and the other one name was Bernard. Sammy came from Aiken, South Carolina, and Bernard was born right there in 76 Oak Street in Washington, D.C. But when both of them went to school, both of them was the exact same age, but because of Sammy coming from South Carolina, they set him back 2 grades. And because of Bernard was already in D.C. living there, he was able to graduate 2 years before Sammy was. So a lot of times when you begin to talk about brothers and sisters and from the geographical location on which they find themselves, the thought pattern sometimes is much different. So what I want to do, I want to start something, and I'm going to finish it when I start it, because it's very important that we listen to what I'm about ready to say. I had a cousin who just passed a few months ago, Cousin Ruth, and she was talking one time about Cecil Page and all of the brothers that played in the Negro League back in the day when we couldn't play in certain leagues if we was of certain different ethnic backgrounds. But when I was thinking about her, it took me back when I was known as Negro. We got to listen to this because it's very important, because all of us that's of African descent, these European nations have been preparing for us for the last generation. And it started when we was known as Negro. And the Holy Prophet Noble Drew Ali told us in 1913 that Negro is a name given to a river in West Africa by Moors because it contained black water. And then they stopped calling us Negro, and then we was known as colored. And Noble Drew Ali told us that colored is anything that has been painted, stained, varnished, or dyed. So now you see we was Negro, we was colored, and then I have something that I written down called 3/5 of a man. They said that we were 3/5 of a man. They said we were 3/5 of a man because we couldn't be 5/5. He said, because you 3/5 a man, but 5/5 is a whole all day. And if you 3/5 of a man and it's 5/5 all day, then there's 2/5 that's missing. There's 2/5 that's missing to make us whole. And until we get these other 2/5, because then we honor our father and our mother, that our days may be longer upon the earth land, which the Lord thy God, Allah, has given thee. And those 2/5 that's missing is your nationality and your divine creed. Because man today is what his forefathers were yesterday. And there's no one who is able to change man from the decent nature of his mother and father unless his power extend beyond the great universal creator, Allah himself. But now, when we begin to know that we was colored after Negro, then we've come to find out that this is where the civil rights era come in, which is a non-political issue. Civil rights is not even an issue that you could take to the United Nations. So when we begin to talk about civil rights and they gave us this title of Negro and colored, then we become black. And man, it hurts right now because me being almost that age, and I'm looking at my sisters. I was listening to a friend of mine. He was talking about his sister. His brother's about ready to turn 80. And you don't know, I got a cousin said the same thing. She's about ready to turn 80. I got a sister already about ready to turn 80. But what have taken place? For the last 2 and 3 generations, they have been preparing certain things for you and me. And all of us of African descent, today, we have been so mentally disturbed by someone else, we all calling ourselves black today. Everybody is calling ourselves black. We say that every day, black this, black that. Think it's something slick to say it black, and you still letting your children accept these terms. Because black, according to science, means death. In 1913, when Noble Drew Ali came upon the scene. When he came upon the scene in 1913, he gave us a divine constitution and bylaw. And the first 7 acts he gave us, he taught us some lessons. But Act 6, he says, with us, all members must proclaim their nationality. And we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are part and parcel of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Drew Ali the prophet to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. So now we see that even before we was known as Negro, colored, and black, Drew Ali told us that they're going to be giving us these names, and we're going to accept these names later on anyway. And all of our children, and all of our grandchildren going around today calling themselves black. And you know who it is? It's your fault, and it's my fault, because we are not teaching them what was given to us by the Holy Prophet Noble Drew Ali, because Drew Ali is the only prophet that come to tell us anything about nationality, tell us anything about human rights. And we know human rights, and we know civil rights. But human rights and civil rights is 2 different issues. One of them is an issue you can't even take to the United Nations. So now, the question of this is, let's go back to 7/11. And I'm looking on here, and I'm thinking about 7/11, but I see 1453 on here. I see 1453 Byzantine. It say, when was the head of Satan taken off? It say 1453 Byzantine. By whom? By Muhammad. So now if the head of Satan was taken off in 1453, that means that the Moors, me and you, we fought with the Ottoman Turks to restore the Islamic creed. So in 1453, like I like to reiterate, we fought with the Ottoman Church to restore the Islamic creed. Because at that time, we was known as Moors. In 1453 Byzantine, when we fought with the Ottoman Church to restore the Islamic creed, we was known as Moors. We wasn't known as Negro, colored, and black, and when they gave us these titles until when? 7/11, 1453. Now we know in 1453 and 1492, 7/11, all these dates I'm saying, all of them mean something. But when we went into Spain in 7/11, who were we? Was we black? Truth don't change. Because man today is what his forefathers were yesterday. And there's no one who was able to change man from the decent nature of his mother and father unless his power extend beyond the great universal creator, Allah himself. When we went into Spain in 7/11 to bring Europe out of the dark ages, we was Moors. We was Moors then. I just said when we gave Europe civilization, we was Moors. And now we're Negro, colored, and black. So if we was Moors when we first went into Spain, something was wrong with this. And now we're looking at Jesus. And they done buried Jesus. We looking at the 15th century. They done buried Jesus in Vatican Square. They done took on his name. And now they got Jesus looking like Charlton Heston, when he really looked just like me, because I am who my forefathers were. Now, a friend of mine, I met him years ago. His name was Nabal from Washington, D.C. And what makes me think about him is there's a lot of stuff going on social media now about a lot of brothers who have been out of the community for a while, and they have wrote books and talking about some of the subject matters. And some of the subject matters they had was talking about the brothers out of Washington, D.C. And they say some things that the brothers out of Washington, D.C. was doing. So I want to talk about that. I want to talk about that because that's where I'm from. I was born and I was raised there. I went to school there. So the brother that I want to talk about is from Washington, D.C. too. And he was born and he was raised there. And he wrote a book. And the book that he wrote is known as The Hills of D.C. When I say the hills of D.C., we talking about the hills of Washington, D.C. And he wrote this book, and I suggest we read it because it'll help us understand some of the things that our fathers and our grandfathers went through when they was under the same adverse conditions that he was under. But I want to talk a little bit about the book. And because if I don't, it'll be disrespectful to those who's gone on before me. Because all of the brothers that taught me and brought me into the Moorish American, none of them is here now. All of them is gone. But what transpired, this brother wrote the book. And he wrote the book, and I'm not going to say what the book was about, but it was about some things that's diametrically opposed to what Noble Drew Ali teach us. Certain things Drew Ali teach us, and we got to honor that. You know what Noble Drew Ali taught us too? They was talking about brothers under adverse conditions doing things that was diametrically opposed with their race, and they was doing things with other people that they shouldn't. But the book that he wrote was about the hills of D.C., was about when they was incarcerated, how they took brothers and made brothers out of women. And when they made brothers out of women, they had brothers doing everything that was opposed to what, God say do. Because man can't serve two masters at the same time. You have to love one and despise the other. And he was at a particular geographical location, and then they brought him over there where we were. And when they came over there where we were, he wanted to take our organization and have those people who we call flesh to be a part of that, and we wouldn't go for it because you got to be who you are and who your forefathers were, and we from D.C. too. So he did some things that he's going to have to answer for, and he's still answering for it. But one of the greatest things that I did for him was referred him to R. Jones Bey, one of the temples in Washington, D.C. So the reason why I'm speaking on this, because they got a European that has an organization called the Razor Wire. And in this Razor Wire, you know, it was talking about the brothers out of Washington, D.C., and how they deal a whole lot in homosexuality. And I don't agree with that because I'm from Washington, D.C. And the reason why I don't agree with it because, first of all those brothers that from Washington, D.C., really they shouldn't have been in no federal penitentiaries anyway because there's a certain law and statute. And they just took our members and sent 400 over there. And when they send the 400 to other different places, maybe 50 people indulge in certain activities, but 400 didn't. But the reason why I'm saying this is because in 54, there was a brother by the name of H. Scott Ill. H. Scott Ill was at a temple in New York called Temple 21. And he was in a place called Lexington, Kentucky. And when he was in this place called Lexington, Kentucky, he met a brother named G.S. Hatchet Bey. And he was telling Hatchet Bey that it was a good idea if he learned about the Moorish Science Temple of America and Prophet Noble Jew Ali. So he said, well, only what we could do, we have a brother on the East Coast and right there in Baltimore named Jeremy Bey, get in touch with him and tell him that we want to bring the teachings of Noble Jew Ali here to teach the brothers and the sisters. And everybody thought it was a good idea because one of the things that Jeremy Bey taught the brothers in Lexington, Kentucky was about the history of the Moors in Spain. The things that the Moors did and went through in Spain. He told them about the two self. Told them about the higher self and the lower self, and the higher self was human spirit clothed with soul made in the form of Allah. So when you look at places like Lawton, you see a whole lot of people down there with Ills and Bays on their name. And when you see a brother with an Ill or a Bay on his name, I'm going to use myself for example. If you see me with an Ill or a Bay on my name, one thing you know, I'm not dealing with no homosexuality. I'm not doing with anything that's diametrically opposed to the laws of Jew Ali. And so when my brother wrote the book, he wrote it because he was showing it the weaknesses of men, but he already knew the law. Because he know, just like everybody else know, if you find a brother or if you find a sister that's dealing with somebody else of the same sexual origin as you, use a gun. You's a homosexual. Something wrong with you. After 20 years, I ain't going on a homosexual one time. Brothers told me, I said, brother, I thank the prophet and I thank Jeremy Bey because some of those things that was taking place, transpiring in those institutions, Jew Ali cleared us of those things. He cleared us of them, and we was able to function with the prophet and not do none of those things. I just like when we was talking about Spain and the Dark Ages and the Moors bring them out of the Dark Age, we wasn't even dealing with no, when I was born and we was going to school, the elders was teaching all of our brothers certain things you just don't do. Certain things you don't do with a woman or to a woman. And these are things that we learned in Lawton back in 1954 and 1956. So no telling where those brothers are now that went home. And the reason why I said that is because even though we're talking about this stuff, you still have brothers and sisters brothers that's still moving that life. Then let me share something else with you. I got a visit one time from a lot of brothers, and we was talking about the everlasting gospel. And I had another friend of mine. They call him Cadillac. They call him Cadillac Smith. And every time he goes somewhere, a lot of them dudes were scared of him and they run from him. You know what I mean? I remember, man, he used to have brothers wearing makeup. Other brothers wearing makeup and looking like women. And he had them doing all these things was diametrically opposed to what God said. So when him and I came in contact with one another, everybody else ran. They seen him, scared of all my friends, people that I was all right with. A lot of them, they wouldn't even deal with me, but I had friends that I grew up with. So we was always all right. But let me tell you what took place. One time he was in a place called Petersburg. And when he was in Petersburg, he went on a job, went to work, because they sent him there to work in the unit corps. So when he went to work, he was going back to his unit one day and got busted. They shake you down, everybody down when you come out the place. They shook him down and found a lot of marijuana on him. They locked him up. They had him in the hole and was getting ready to send him back to Marion, Illinois. But me being the sheik, I went to the administration because I know the valuability of this brother, because just like the other brother that I spoke about, he's the one that gave Jeff Ford and a lot of other brothers the knowledge of Noble Jew Ali, so that what made him special. That what made Nabal special to me. I went to D.C. just before his book come out, and they had a brother named Tahaka Bey. Tahaka Bey had a TV show over there in Baltimore. I told Nabal, I said, man, I'm going to Baltimore to a talk show. I said, you should get on that talk show and talk, because you might could speak about wrath and some of the things that the brothers did back in the day. He said, all right. And he went to the show. But before we went to the show, we had all ate together at a place called Daddy Grace Church. And he had a book coming out, but he didn't tell me that he had a book coming out. That's the first time I seen sucker in him. Because if I would have put somebody in a book, I'm going to let him know. But he put me in his book. He got me in the book, The Hills of D.C. And I loved it, because I couldn't think of nothing else better than to put me in there, because the only thing that you could say about me was the truth. So it's about this brother, that the one that Cadillac, they called him. They locked him up because he had the marijuana. So I went to the administration after he was gone for a couple of months, and had a brother named R. Love Ill and a brother named R. Jeremy Bay. Both of them wrote a letter for me to the administration, because I was telling them about this brother's past and how good of the brother he was. About 3 or 4 months later, they let this brother out the hole. And he's from Virginia anyway. So I said, man, this brother could do a lot of good work in the community, because everybody's scared of him. Everybody vicious of him. So we could really use him, and he could really be a benefit. So we was back at the temple, and we was doing some work. But there was a brother named Robert Poindexter Bay. Grew up with him too. Another more brother. He's gone to, no longer here. He introduced me to a brother by the name of Daniel Dyson Eel out of Letroy Park. And he had a brother, his brother say they called him Toby. So Poindexter was getting ready to go home. He said, Lynch-Bey, I'm going to put you with Dyson Eel, man, because of what you just went through here with these dudes. He'll watch your back. I said, all right, man, we worked that. But I didn't really need him, because we had some brothers I'd come up with. So he was the chief muftee. And I get a call one day from the chaplain. Lynch-Bey, report to the chaplain's office. I said, I hope my mother all right, because, you go to the chaplain's office, sometimes something wrong with a family member. So I'm going to the chaplain's office, and I got one of Theodore Crawford Bay, one of my family members. I got him with me. Carried him up tea with me. See, I keep him up tea. And I carried him up tea with me, and when I get over there to get ready to get in the door to go see what the chaplain wanted, Daniel Dyson Eel from Terre Haute He said, Lynch-Bey, I'm no longer with you. I'm no longer your chief mufti. I'm Cadillac's chief mufti now. I said, damn, man, if you wanted the temple, you could have had the temple. You had to put the chapel in our business, and I just got you out the junk, man. And they sent him back to Maryland, and Silverstein and them killed him. Man, that hurt. Because there's a lot of work, and all these brothers that we got now, we could have got these brothers. I seen Joe James' name. I seen Naughty's name. I seen so many names in these things that I read. I seen Keith's name, and I know his grandfather. Man, I'm telling you, it's something that was so beautiful to me because I haven't seen these brothers in so many years, and we got to work to aid and assist, but because of the past. Because of our past, and we are not serious. So you can't serve two masters at the same time. You got to love one and despise the other. And you say you love the prophet, but if you love the prophet, you got to do the prophet's will. I was talking to a brother about some of the work that he's been doing. Some of the work that he's been doing lately. And he said, I haven't been to the temple, the Moorish Temple of America lately. He said, because I ain't been feeling it. He said, I ain't been feeling. I said, you ain't feeling being in the Moorish Temple of America, man, not Negro, color, black, and man today is what his forefathers were yesterday. I said, you ain't feeling that? And he said, no, I'm not feeling that. And this is the trouble that a lot of us have because Noble Ali, who was the last prophet in these days and time, told us something that nobody else did. He told us that we were Negro, colored, and black. He said that our nationality is Moorish American, and we need to study the five folds of man. And as we study the five folds of man, we'll overcome these things. We'll overcome hatred. We'll overcome slander. We'll overcome lewdness. We'll overcome murder. We'll overcome theft. We'll overcome everything that harm. You can't serve two masters at the one time. Noble Ali was sent to redeem us from our sinful way. Allah sent him here. Allah sent the holy prophet Noble Ali, and we don't see that. We don't see Allah sending Noble Ali because we look at Noble Ali just like we look at any black man. Black, according to science, means death. The only black flag I know is the one that killed roaches. And today is my birthday. And I just want to come here to tell you that you need to learn about Noble Ali because it's going to take a lot of more years. I'm going to tell you something that took place. And my sheik taught me this years ago. When Noble Ali was on the scene, you had a lot of brothers and you had a lot of sisters that told the prophet, no, don't go that way, prophet. It should go this way. You should do it this way. You should do it that way. And you know what transpired during that time? There was some brothers named Millie Eel, Small Bey, Lovett Bey, and Format Bey. And these were some of the first brothers and sisters that Noble Ali had in his bosom as his support. But when Noble Ali went in 28 over there and took C. Kirkman Bey with him to be his interpreter, and he had a lot of time to spend with this brother and tell him some things, then they made a sign, and you heard now, you didn't hear Millie Eel. You didn't hear Small Bey. You didn't hear Lovett Bey. You didn't hear Format Bey. You didn't hear that more. You had C. Kirkman Bey. You had F. Nelson Bey. You heard J. Blakely Bey. And all those brothers, most of them, Drew Ali wasn't too concerned about you eating pork right then. They taught me that. Why? Because right now, when I said Millie Eel, Small Bey, Lovett Bey, and Format Bey, when I said that, a lot of these brothers still working with the government. They had to leave. That's why it's a brother out of Hartford, Connecticut, named Weaver Bey. And Weaver Bey, our daughter, she interviewed two Cook Bey brothers. And when she interviewed the two Cook Bey brothers, because the two Cook Bey was two of them that left. Majority of all these grandbites that you see right now, all of them left. They kept them all, a few of them over here, but the majority of them is gone. The elders is gone, but the Cook Beys. And the reason why I talk about the Cook Beys so much, because if it wasn't for thee, it wouldn't be no me. They are the ones that took German Bey to the prophet. You hear a lot of brothers. The brother told me that's over there with Yeah, over there. Say, man, we seen the paperwork, and we seen in the paperwork that James Lynch-Bey, went through back then. I said, yeah, but that's just paperwork people have. If anybody will have any paperwork about anything that James Lynch-Bey did, it would be our Jones Bay. And James Lynch-Bey left that grand body. He wasn't supposed to, because in 1954, when them brothers from Temple over there told him to go and try to open up a door so those brothers out of Washington, D.C. could learn about the prophet, they said no for 2 years, and then he moved away. But he know that's home. There's nowhere else but home. There ain't but one. See, everybody keep telling me, I'm with this temple, and I'm with that temple. It ain't but one temple. Ain't but one Moorish temple. That's why Drew Ali said every subordinate temple under the Grand Major Temple is to form under the covenant of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and create their own laws and customs in conjunction with the laws of the Holy Prophet and the Grand Temple. So everybody now want to know about the where's the trust this and trust that. I remember our brother, McCookland Bay, they've been talking about the trust for years. But everybody want to know about the trust? It ain't but one trust. And in order to talk about the trust, we got to come back under one head like the prophet left it. It ain't but one. It ain't but one Moorish Temple of America. It ain't but one grand body. John Bay could have been pulled that stuff up. He could bring everybody together whenever he want. I remember, man, I did a blessing. There's a brother, there's the Grand Sheik up in Chicago. And he came to Washington, D.C. And when he came to Washington, D.C., he came to Washington, D.C. to talk to Brother Jones Bay. And when he wanted to tell Jones Bay how we need to come together. But see, Jones Bay had already knew why they left. See? Because people talking about that every day. Jeremy Bay, they wasn't over here before this long. They wasn't over here for that. Yeah, they left, Ma. Because I'm telling you, they telling the prophet, this ain't the way it go. And they still doing that today. If he was here. Just like I'm so happy I posted a picture the other day of a brother teaching out of Temple number 4 in Detroit. And it was such a blessing because everybody always put on social media, the dues card of Temple number 4, but all the people that was on that dues card left. Just like Elijah Muhammad's son was telling everybody. Say, man, when my father first taught any kind of lecture or anything in the Moorish Temple of America, he did it in Temple number 4 under my father. Until they took the money, it ain't but one. And in order for us to deal with these subject matters that we have to deal with, because some people say, the prophet say, I brought you everything that it takes to save a nation. He said, then take it and save yourself. So if prophet brought us everything that to take to save a nation, take it to save yourself, well, where all this other stuff come from? We got the Genealogy 3, we got the Genealogy 4, we got Genealogy 1, we got Genealogy 5, but ain't but one prophet. He said, if you'd have needed any more, I would have brought you that too. So anything that we need is what Allah gave Genealogy to give. See, it wouldn't have been Allah. Allah wouldn't have been the father of the universe if he would have sent us somebody with something else other than what we had. But he sent Noble Genealogy with the methodology that was conducive to our growth and development. And I heard a brother on the radio the other day asking about some trust. And when you asked about the trust, you to be in the Moorish Temple. Most of you done went through the prophet and studied the prophet, and then you learned. You looking for something. What you looking for? You got the best trust in the world, teaching you who you are. Tell me this. Who else have told you that you wasn't Negro, colored, and black? Who else told you that you was Moorish? And you say, well, why are we Moorish Americans? It said, because we are descendants of Moroccans and born in America. Say, who are these Moroccans? They are the descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Now, who are these Moabites? They are the biblical sons and daughters of Ham, one of the 3 sons of Noah, according to the biblical scriptures. And this is why we are Hamitic by decent nature, by the way of Lot. And Lot is the son of Haran. Haran and Tita is the son of Reu. Reu is the son of Pelah. Pelah is the son of Eber. Eber is the son of Salah. Salah is the son of Faxa. Faxa is the son of Shem. And Noah had 3 sons, Ham, Shem, and Japheth. Shem, Ham, Japheth. These are lessons that Drew Ali brought us to study, so we'll know about our forefathers' divine and national creed. We are not Negro. We are not colored. We are not black. All these brothers that's scholars today, all of these brothers that's teaching us about our history, which is his story, didn't tell you who you were when you first went into slavery. When we first went into Spain in 711, we was known as Moors. Truth don't change. We was known as Moors. And because we was known as Moors, we are Moors today because this is who we were. But through the advent of slavery and the way that the Europeans moved about and worked about, they took that away from us. We're no longer of African descent. See, they took Jesus from you. I told you the book say they took Jesus and buried Jesus in Vatican Square and took on the name. And I told you earlier when we were teaching about Jesus and Jesus' mother. And Jesus' mother was Mary. And Mary is the one that taught Jesus. And Mary had a mother named Anna. And Anna was married to who? Who was Zacharias? Who was Hagar? Who was the widow's son? All of these lessons are in our book. Another thing, you know, when we first started out, it said Abraham, Boaz by Ruth, Jesse, King David, Solomon, Hezekiah, and Joseph by Mary. So we need to understand that we're what our forefathers were. Whoever our forefathers were, that's who we are, without doubt or contradiction. Truth don't change. I said that Anna and Joaquin. Anna was Mary's mother. Joaquin was Mary's father. And when you begin to talk about the 2 pillars, you're talking about Joaquin. See? You're talking about Joaquin, and the other pillar is Boaz. So now let's look at Boaz. And the book tells us it said, will you give in brief the line genealogy through which Jesus came? It says some of the great fathers through which Jesus came are Abraham, Boaz by Ruth, Jesse, King David, Solomon, Hezekiah, and Joseph by Mary. So we talking about Joseph by Mary. We talking about Boaz by Ruth. We're talking about Abraham. And who is Boaz by Ruth? Jesse, King David. Now let's look at Ruth again. Ruth the Moabite. Look at her. Look at Ruth and Boaz. So now we know through that unit came Jesse, Obed, David. See, all of this is our line genealogy. It says some of the great fathers through which Jesus came are. So that's all we could keep talking about. We can only keep talking about our history. Not his story, but our history. And once we learn our history and learn about our forefathers' ancient and divine creed, we'll be a better person. That's why when we know with these brothers that we are dealing with in the temple and the ones that's trying to live according to the word of God, I'm going to tell you something about me. I came to Portland, Oregon about 10 years ago. I came here because I had talked to a minister up here, and they came up here and they helped me get this television show. And came up here and went back and let the temple know, the members of the temple know, that I was getting ready to go to Portland, Oregon. But the last meeting that I was with, because I done been, you know, I'm always on the move, because if you say you're a member of the Moorish Temple, you got to be connected somewhere, you got to pay your dues, you got to keep in line with all the necessities, you got to do all that. So the last mission I was in Portland, where did I go this time? Richmond, Virginia. And I went to Richmond, I went by to pick up a friend of mine named Brother Page Hill. Page Hill and pictures him in Kirkman Bay and his family and all that kind of stuff. But when I went by to pick him up, I went to a meeting that we had down here in Richmond, Virginia. But a lot of grand bodies was there. Pray for the Ill was there with his member. He had a lot of membership there. And Brother Loville sent a lot of brothers there. They had the brother, sister out the colony, Brother Hopkins Bay. He had some books that he was selling. And I'm so proud of him because that brother now is assistant Grand Sheik of the Moorish Temple of America. I hear a lot of people keep talking about, we were talking about the youngsters and the this and that. Man, that brother was he was a Grand Sheik, but that brother, his father, I was up there the last year that his father lived before his father passed. Never forget that. Pray for the took me up there to meet him. You know, so the Moors has been on the move for many years. A lot of people just coming in the door, and you come in the door, you know everything, and you know everybody. But I'm saying at this meeting that that we was at, they had members from all different nationalities. I mean, all different grand bodies. See, and all of them was able to talk together in unity. But the lesson that we supposed to have got back together on was the lesson where the prophet said every subordinate temple under the grand major temple is to form under the covenant of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and create their own laws and customs in conjunction with the laws of the holy prophet and the grand temple. So it ain't but one. You done left one and went to another. And if we talking about there's a supreme issue that we need to deal with these subject matters, in order to deal with these subject matters, we're going to have to come back under one head like the prophet left it. And if we ain't going to never do that because you got too many prophets. You got prophet 1, you got prophet 2, you got prophet 2, you even got a prophet Jones. Matter of fact, he might try to call himself that. No telling what he might try to call himself. And these are the things that Noble Drew Ali bestowed upon us. So this is a subject matter because Drew Ali said he's going to make the European Enforcers Law. We have to understand that. We don't have to do nothing. It's going to get done anyway. But you know, most of the brothers and sisters that I met when I first joined the Moorish Temple, most of them gone now. A lot of them is no longer here. I seen a little brother Cook Bay the other day, Cornelius Cook Bay. His family, his grandfather and them was the ones that they interviewed Brother Weaver Bay. His mother was one of the daughters. And I think about them. I think about the work that they put in. I think about when we went to certain places, and we went to certain places to talk to certain people, like in Chicago, because one of the Cook Bay, which had that house right there by the temple, and this Star on the Crescent in there. But a lot of people didn't go there. A lot of people didn't go there because they were scared to go there, or they know that what they was going to tell them is not what they wanted to hear. But it ain't but one temple, and it ain't but one prophet. And we got a mighty work. He said a mighty work is theirs. He said, because carnal man want not the light. He said he loved the dark. And when the light shines in the dark, he comprehend it not. So Clendenny Bay, that's another brother, Clendenny Bay out of Detroit, out of New York. Where he was there. And it was an honor because, and this was over 10 years ago. So the reason why I brought that up is when you find a brother and when you find a sister and they say that they Moorish American Muslims and that they are part of the Moorish Temple of America, the first thing you need to know is where they come from, which you come. Who is your Grand Sheik? What your Grand Sheik doing? What are you doing on the credit side of life? Because this is deep, man. This thing is so deep. And the reason why I said that stuff about my subject matter earlier, because there's always stuff going on. And the stuff that's going on in the movement has nothing to do with Prophet Noble Drew Ali. It had to do with the lower self. Because my lower self is strong. By many times I'm bound down, but you know what? I'm so thankful to the Holy Prophet, Noble Drew Ali, because I'm a better person. The things I used to do, I don't do no more. The places I used to go, I don't go no more. The friends I used to have, I don't have no more. There's been a great change since you've been born. So it's about growth and it's about development. It's about overcoming, giving your life a will and sacrifice. That's what we need to do. We keep wanting to know about this and know about that. Get into them books and find that you done overcame, because there's 7 tests. Those same 7 tests that Jesus was talking about is the same 7 tests that you and I got to talk about. We got to be with Allah and the prophet. We can't serve 2 masters at the same time. We got to love one and despise the other. And this is what I'm learning in my life. Every day I'm constantly learning. It's constantly battle. The soldier, without a foe, a soldier never know his strength. And thought must be developed by the exercise of strength. So we got to exercise our 5 senses. He said, every member exercise his 5 senses who is able to do so. So if you're not able to exercise your 5 senses, you know what that means? That means that somebody else going to do it for you. If you can't exercise your own senses, somebody else going to exercise them for you. And what purpose was the Moorish Temple of America founded? For the uplifting of fallen humanity. And how did the prophet begin to uplift the Moorish American? By teaching them to be themselves. Who are you? I'm Asiatic Muslim. Why are you Asiatic Muslim? I'm Asiatic Muslim because there's but 2 formulations, Asiatic and European. And I'm sure not European. And I'm Muslim because I submit my will to Allah. And how do you submit your will to Allah? By living according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. That's why the book says, love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all members of the Moorish Temple of America. No members are put in danger or accused falsely. His brother or sister don't indicate at all they may harm his brother or sister because of Allah's love. So I want to be all right with you all today. I want to be all right with him today. But I got something else to do too. So I can't be with him all the time. So I'm going to serve that master, and then I'm going to serve another master. And when I get tired, then I'm going to try to serve just one. But thought must be developed by the exercise of strength. And the only strength that Satan has is the strength that we give him. And that's what we have to understand. Let's look at this again. When we went into Europe in 7-11, we went into Europe to bring Europe out of the Dark Ages. We went in Europe to tell Europe to come out of here. And because, see, there was a time when those who we call European was Asiatic. There was a time when the whole world was called Asia at one time. See? And you got to understand that. So be with the prophet or give him alone. Now, if you don't want to attend your meeting, the Sheik was teaching last night at the meeting. He said, if you don't want to attend your holy day meeting, if you don't want to keep in line with all the necessities, well, turn in your card. Button. Cease wearing your turban affairs and return to the state of mind where the prophet found it, because the many are called and only a few are chosen. Because every day you hear, I'm over here with this now. I'm over there with that now. There ain't but one prophet, man. And that's Noble Ali. And like I say, in 1954, this is when the brothers out of Washington, D.C. started learning about the Holy Prophet Noble Ali. That's when we first heard about him. We heard about him, and brothers all in law never hearing about him. But I'm going to tell you what took place, though. There was a brother named, I don't recall his name. They had a place called the White Law. And when a lot of brothers come out of Lex, instead of going over there to the temple, they was up at the White Law. So them Moors went up there, man, and took their literature, took all that stuff from them, because they said, man, you can't serve 2 masters at the same time. You can be with the prophet or you're not, because we got work to do, Mo. We have a lot of work to do. All the brothers that come up with me in the Moorish Temple, they're no longer here. And I'm one of the ones that they taught. And there's a few more brothers here that have put a lot of work in. And they're ready to do the rest, what they have to do for the Prophet Noble Ali. Because, man, the Prophet Noble Ali gave his life a willing sacrifice. So you and I will know who I was. Now, the prophet, they tried so many times to get rid of this brother. This is why they left the prophet here, they left the prophet there, they took the money here, they took the money there, because they just didn't want you to know that you was Moorish. So you were Moorish American. They said, why are we Moorish Americans? Because we are descendants of Moroccans and born in America. And who are these Moroccans? They are descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. And who are these Moabites? They are the biblical sons and daughters of Ham, one of the 3 sons of Noah, according to the biblical scriptures. And this is why we are Hamitic by decent nature, by the way of Lot. That's why we're looking at Mary, we're looking at Elizabeth, we're looking at our sisters, we're looking at our mothers, we're looking at our fathers, and we're looking at ourselves, and we're looking back at Noble Drew Ali. But we're here now. See, even though we got to go through some other trials and tribulations, one thing that we know that is here to stay, and that is telling you that you are Moorish, because this is what was taken away from us. During the advent of slavery, they want that taken away from you, who you were, who you are, who your forefathers were, and you are not Negro, colored, and black. And the only black flag I know is the one that killed roaches. And I'm telling you now, you just can't say you're Negro, colored, and black. You got to show it in your character. You over here doing this. Man, I'm talking about myself. You over here doing that. Man cannot serve 2 masters at the same time. I read today in chapter 3, say the lower self breeds hatred, slander, lewdness, murder, theft, and everything that harms. So I'm having problems now. I'm having problems with Lucifer, Satan, devil, dragon, and beast, because I can't serve 2 masters at the same time. I got to love one and despise the other. So now I can't do nothing else. I can't go to this world or underworld. I can't go nowhere. You got to give one up. And if you go over here with this one, then you just weak as water. Because Drew Ali said that. He said, I bought you everything that it take to save a nation. He said, now take it and save yourself. So now, praise Allah. It's always an honor. Just come by and just say something, because this is my birthday week. And I just wanted to come by and say something about the Holy Prophet Noble Drew Ali, because certain things I just can't say anyway, but I gave you enough to hear. So in conclusion, I would like to say, praise Allah and honor to the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. I will close with the Moorish American prayer. And it is said on this wise: Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation, by night and by day, through his holy prophet, Drew Ali. Amen. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine.